First at 5, showers and storms moved through just a little bit earlier, giving some of us some relief to the heat, but we're not finished with it yet. A heat advisory is in effect for the entire weekend.
Plus, the U.S. Supreme Court striking down President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. Why the president is now saying this isn't the only path for you to get some relief.
And a local mom now facing charges after her 7-year-old daughter's body was discovered inside of a closet at a DeKalb County apartment.
11 Alive News at 5 p.m. starts now.
First at 5, we are dealing with hot and humid weather around Metro Atlanta, folks. It's sticky out there, it's warm, and we're taking a look out at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Earlier today, we were seeing delays of up to 75 minutes, and that's because of some strong storms that rolled through. And we're actually getting a look at some of the damage left behind from those storms. You can take a look here, these images coming to the newsroom. Just a few hours ago, a tree actually fell into a home along Seab Green Road that's just outside of Cedartown in Polk County.
All right, so we want to get you straight to our chief meteorologist, Chris Holcomb. Chris, the good news here, the showers are giving some temporary relief, at least, from that heat out there.
Yeah, we made it up to 90 degrees today. Then the rain came through. It dropped us from 90 down to 73 degrees with that rain-cooled air. We are holding in the 70s right now, and the rain is gone for a while. You can see the dry conditions that we have here now. Earlier, we had those showers and some storms that moved through Metro Atlanta. They were stronger over on the west side, and that's where we have numerous reports of damage, mainly from trees down. We had some hail in association with those and power outages as well. Everything is pushing well down to the south of Columbus right now. Now, the warnings that are in effect are south of Columbus and outside of our area. So here's what we're watching. We look to be mainly dry for the rest of the evening hours, still just a low risk for an isolated shower to develop. These are the areas where we are getting some of those storm reports in so far. Some of these are in parts of Paulding County, also into Polk County, down into Carroll County, also a lot of this down into parts of Coweta County and also into Heard County, again, mainly from those trees down. Now, we mentioned earlier the 75-minute delays at Hartsfield-Jackson due to the weather. Now, they no longer have any delays. Now, of course, there's a lot of volume at the airport right now due to this holiday weekend. Here's what that rain did to our temperatures. Look at this, 72 degrees in Atlanta right now, 75 in Duluth, 75 in Thomaston. That rain coming in from the north, pushing down to the south, cooling us off. But we're not finished with that heat yet. We have a heat advisory in effect for tomorrow. We're talking about heat index levels. That'll be around 105 in the metro area on the south side, maybe even around 110. That lasts into Sunday as well. Stay with us. We'll talk more about that and when we'll see any relief to this heat.
The money was literally about to go out the door. And then Republican elected officials and special interests stepped in. They said, no, no. Literally snatching from the hands of millions of Americans thousands of dollars in student debt relief that was about to change their lives.
Less than an hour ago, President Joe Biden expressing his frustration in the Supreme Court's decision to cancel his student loan forgiveness plan. It's a decision that means millions of Americans will no longer have up to $20,000 in loan relief.
And of course, this is one of his big campaign promises. The Supreme Court now saying that Congress has to make that decision. Another big ruling that'll blow to advocates of LGBTQ rights. And we have team coverage for you tonight on this. Bobeth Yates will have reaction from the LGBTQ community. But first, we want to get things over to Doug Richards. He's live right now with how student loan ruling will impact students seeking higher education.
Yeah, a lot of folks today have been talking about this in constitutional and legal terms, but the college students and recent graduates that we talked with discuss it plainly in terms that are straight out of their bank account. Have you had experiences personally with student loans?
Yes, yes I have.
I've been making minimum monthly payments.
I've still had like $20,000, $30,000 in debt stack up for me.
Tyler Seabolt is a recent college grad, now planning a wedding, trying to move on to adult responsibilities.
Okay, how long are we going to live in an apartment before we have a family? And, thinking about housing loan and car loan, and then I got to get the student loan out of the way, it feels like, before I can do any of that.
Seabolt says he took out a student loan fully expecting to pay it back. heeding advice he'd gotten since childhood that a college education can help him become a successful adult. Yet when the Biden administration announced an executive order forgiving portions of student loans, he was among those who had hoped it would succeed.
I am disappointed to hear that they, shot that down because I was looking forward to that help. But I think that there are a lot of people that need the help more than me.
It's very unfair. I mean, it's sad.
Jaden Williams is an NAACP president who is accumulating his own student loan debt at Clark Atlanta University.
So it hurts our community, specifically the minority community, when it comes down to the poor, lower income tax bracket, the middle class tax bracket, because they're only thinking of those that are at the high tax bracket.
Siebold told us that he understands the perspective of the folks who are opposed to forgiving student loan debt, recognizing that there are a lot of people out there who maybe declined to go to college at all because they could not afford to and chose not to take out a student loan. We talked with one recent graduate who has more than $100,000 worth of student loan that she is now looking at paying in full eventually. Tonight on 11 Alive News at 6. Back to you.
All right, Doug. Our team coverage continues right now with Bobeth Yates. Bobeth, the High Court dealt a blow to the LGBTQ community today by ruling in favor of a Christian web designer who refused to create a website for a same-sex couple.
That is exactly right. And not only did we speak to an Emory University professor who broke down the law, we also spoke to a member of the LGBTQ community who says this is a devastating blow to equal rights. Now, in the 6-3 vote, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of a Denver web designer who declined service to a gay couple wanting a wedding website, citing her Christian beliefs. The decision aims to interpret the First Amendment right to freedom of expression, saying it extends to all content created and allows those doing the creation to decline services when they're being asked to create something they personally disagree with. Many in the LGBTQ community say the decision is a blow to gay rights and they're worried about the potential fallout. But in a breakdown of the law, the Emory University professor says this issue is about free speech.
Where we draw the line on the First Amendment is if you are asking somebody, if you are requiring somebody to speak or to otherwise create expressive content that they disagree with.
For us as LGBTQ people, it's hard to understand that people want to discriminate against us just because of who we are inherently in our core being.
Now, coming up at 6, we'll have more on the reaction to this Supreme Court ruling. Sending it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Bobeth, thank you so much. And right now on 11alive.com, we have a full breakdown of everything you need to know about today's Supreme Court decisions, including when student loan payments will kick back in again. Just look for these stories on our homepage, 11alive.com.
And tonight, police arrested the mother of a child whose body was found decaying, mummified, in a closet of a DeKalb County apartment. And now she's in custody. She's facing felony murder charges. We're going to get straight to 11 Alive's Brittany Kleinpeter, who has been talking with police, residents at this complex. Brittany, what are you hearing from them tonight?
We are still working to learn details about what exactly happened, but in the last few hours, we did learn the name of that child, 7-year-old Olivia Hobbs Jordan. Police tell me they arrested Alondra Hobbs last night. She's facing multiple charges, including second-degree murder. This afternoon, we went to the Hidden Valley complex off Candler Road where the child was found. We were able to see a boarded-up door with what appeared to be flowers on the doorstep. We spoke to a resident earlier this week who told us they discovered the child on Sunday after smelling a strong odor coming from the apartment and noticing that the door was wide open and the lights were on.
And for like a minute or two to just realize that what it was. It's a dead child in the closet. You know how Mummy looked? She looked like a real mummy. You can tell it was a young girl caught by what she had on.
That tipster also shared with us that inside of the apartment was filled with children's clothes and furniture and appeared as though the tenants left in a rush. We're told Alondra Hobbs is in a local hospital with an officer outside of her door, and she will be taken to jail upon her release. I did speak with a couple of her family members this afternoon, and they said they are not doing interviews right now, but told me they did appreciate me reaching out. Guys?
All right, Brittany, thank you so much for that update. Tonight, the King family is honoring the life and legacy of Dr. Christine King Ferris. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s oldest sister passed away on Thursday at the age of 95. She was one of the foundational influences in establishing both the King Center and what would become the Learning Resources Center at Spelman's Department of Education. Today, several members of the King family and leaders at the center spoke about the many accomplishments she had made during her life and applauded her servant's heart.
Our parents exemplified what it meant to forgive and what it means to forgive.
That's right.
And that's been so important to our family. And I just watched her because she had every bit of reason to be bitter, with what happened with her brother and her mother. And yet she was not.
Dr. Bernice King went on to call her aunt a beacon of strength and a force to be reckoned with. She was the last living sibling of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. No celebration of life arrangements have been announced yet. You can read much more about her life and legacy or watch that entire news conference with remarks from her family on our website, 11alive.com. Coming up, there is a warning out tonight for anyone looking to take a dip in the Chattahoochee River. Why part of it is closed right now.
And the time has come for many of you to get out of town for the holiday. We are going to hit the highways and the skies to see where exactly people will spend the 4th of July.
Taking a live look right now over the downtown connector near the entrance to the John Lewis Freedom Parkway. Right now we are in the middle of what's expected to be the busiest travel day of the July 4th holiday weekend. The freeways and the skies are filling up with travelers looking forward to a little bit of a getaway.
It looked like it was slow out there. Look, it's 5:13. People have clocked out.
It was slow coming into work.
You know what? They are ready to go on their trips, and we don't blame them. 11 Alive's Latasha Givens has been tracking the travel patterns throughout the day. So, Latasha, looks like you are in that bumper-to-bumper traffic right now. You spent some time over at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. What's it looking like?
Yes, we are in the middle of rush hour traffic heading south of the city just before the airport. And let me tell you, it's been busy in the airways and on the freeways. I'm going to switch my camera so you can take a look at what we're seeing right now heading south. Now, as you can imagine, most of the traffic heading in this direction are people driving to the airport or out of state. It's been bumper to bumper since early this afternoon on highways and side streets all around the metro. But travelers we talked to say they planned ahead, accounting for heavier traffic and possible delays at the airport. So for them, it's been smooth sailing. It's been a busy Friday at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, where more than 2.5 million travelers are expected to pass through the holiday week, ending next Thursday.
We started out this morning about 8 o'clock, took a groom shuttle from Augusta. My husband Charles and we're headed to Nashville, Tennessee.
We are going to India to visit my parents.
Lines at the counter check-in varied throughout the day, but it was smooth sailing for most.
We decided to come here early, check in early.
So far, it's been surprisingly great. I expected some delay or a lot of traffic, foot traffic. We haven't had any problem getting in.
And for the 1.6 million Georgians hitting the highway, AAA says you might spend less in gas than you did last year when the average price was $4.87 per gallon. Right now, the national average is just $3.55 per gallon. Officials say this is one of the biggest drops before the July 4th weekend in over 30 years.
If I'm going to be in a congested area, I might as well go there. I'll be traveling. I'm leaving a couple days in advance just so I can try to avoid a little bit of the traffic there.
And right now, according to the airport's website, TSA check wait lines are less than 50 minutes. So whether you are flying or driving, give yourself extra time. Back to you.
That is always a good idea. Leave early, give yourself some time. Well, it is one of Metro Atlanta's crown jewels, but due to a stinky and dangerous situation, people won't be able to fully use a lengthy stretch of the Chattahoochee River for quite a while. Federal officials say it appears a sewage leak polluted the river in Fulton County. 11 Live's Erica Murphy caught up with some folks who frequent the river to learn more.
National Park Service officials say tests show E. coli levels in this part of the Chattahoochee River are 300 times Environmental Protection Agency recommendations for recreation. So starting today, the Park Service shut down the river for any recreation from the Chattahoochee Nature Center to Johnson Ferry Road.
They
need to put signs up in order to make sure that people are aware.
Bonnie Troutman has been using the river's trailways for over 40 years. She's disappointed she didn't see any warnings about the dangerous bacteria in the water. Bill Patella has also been using the river's recreation area for 30 years. He says he could tell something was up because of the stench.
There are a lot of young kids out here that like to play in the water, so the smell's not that good either, so it's a dangerous situation.
Troutman says she's hoping they quickly clean up the mess.
I'm a nurse by trade, and I don't like anything like that around. I think they need to clean it up and do the best they can to clean it up.
According to a Facebook post, the E. coli levels are consistent with an ongoing sewage leak coming from the Waleo Creek Park area. Patilla likes to ride his bike from the Cochran Shoals area and wants this mess fixed quickly.
It's just a beautiful area. You hate to see a spill like that. And it's just a great place to come out and walk and ride your bike.
Reporting from Cobb County, Erica Murphy, 11 Alive News.
We had some rain that came through a little bit earlier. You know, officially at Hartsfield-Jackson, we only picked up 0.05 of an inch of rain. Other folks got more than that, and then a lot of heavier rain over into West Georgia. That's where some of those strongest storms were earlier. We were tracking the storm system coming out of Tennessee and North Carolina. It passed through North Georgia and then through the Atlanta area. And you can see how they started weakening a little bit just into Atlanta. But these on the west side held together pretty well, and that's where we had most of our severe thunderstorm warnings, and that's where most of our damage has been, with mainly trees down and power lines down in some of those spots there. But that moved through very quickly. It's now pretty much south of Columbus. That's where they still have a few, another severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect there. But we should be fine for the rest of the evening hours tonight. Our temperatures have cooled down very quickly thanks to that rain-cooled air. Noonan right now had some heavy rain that came through, but things are looking better in Noonan. Still a little wet on some of the roads and some of the buildings there as well. Down in Noonan and Coweta County. Look what happened to these temperatures after that rain moved through. Now, we're at 72 degrees right now. Our high was 90 before the rain came in. We were on target to get to the mid-90s, but then the rain cooled us off. So we're really thankful for that. We're not thankful for the storms, though, over in West Georgia that caused that damage, but most of us got to get some of that rain and some of that cooler air. And we're not finished with the heat, though, yet. You can still see how we've been tracking those heat alerts that have been over to the west of us. Well, now we are included in a heat advisory for Saturday as well as on Sunday. This does not include northeast Georgia and in the higher elevations, but includes the rest of us here, where we're going to have temperatures in the mid-90s here in Metro Atlanta, upper 90s on the south side. Heat index in Metro Atlanta will be around 105, but down to the south of us into South Metro counties and into West Georgia, or into central Georgia, it could feel like it's 110. So you see the 97 for a high tomorrow with a heat index feeling like 105, 95 for a high Sunday with a heat index again of 105. The tricky part with this is, though, we could see some showers similar to what happened today, and if you get hit by one of those, of course, your temperature will fall. Then we'll go back to the lower 90s Monday and Tuesday, but heat index values we think would stay just shy of the triple digits. A 7 on the wasometer tomorrow. Hot high of 97, got about a 30% chance for a shower, and really that's what we're going to hold on to for the rest of the period each and every day. Heat and humidity could bubble up some of those showers. Rain chances at 30% Sunday and Monday. Temperatures start trending down. 4th of July, a high of 92. For the Peachtree Road Race, AJC Peachtree Road Race, it's going to be mild and muggy to start the day. Then lower 90s for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Still holding on to that 30% chance for some rain.
Get that sunblock. Stay hydrated. All right, Chris, thank you so much. And tonight, thousands of Hollywood actors could join writers already on strike. Here's what's happening right now. The actors portion of the SAG-AFTRA union are asking for a new contract to replace the one that expires tonight at midnight. Here's what a combined strike could mean for Georgia's film industry.
Look, Georgia is making strides and gains. This is the reason my husband and I bought a second home here, because this, in our opinion, is the new Hollywood.
Yeah, it's nicknamed the Hollywood of the South. Actress and writer Maya Dunbar says union members want better pay and for their concerns over AI to be heard. As a union member herself, Dunbar is running to become president of SAG-AFTRA. She says a combined strike would cause all productions in the state to shut down, causing the state to lose a lot of money.
You can't make anything without actors and performers, and the industry would effectively come to a standstill. If we shut it down, they're forced to come back to the table.
And the production area already seeing a really big impact here in Georgia. Productions like Stranger Things and Marvel's Blade movie have actually stopped filming. Now, if no deal is reached, a strike could start taking place tonight, or the current contract could be extended into next week.
Georgia's ban on gender-affirming care is set to take effect tomorrow, but now there's a last-minute challenge. We explain what that means when we come back. A new lawsuit filed on behalf of multiple transgender children and their parents seeks to block Georgia's ban on gender-affirming care. The ban set to go into effect in just a few hours at midnight.
And 11 Live's Karis Belger has been digging in on this story. Karis, you actually spoke with one of the attorneys representing the families who filed that suit. What did they tell you?
I spoke with Beth Luttrell, an attorney with the Southern Poverty Law Center. She says these families have considered moving to get their children gender-affirming treatment, but hopes a judge will step in so that doesn't have to happen.
The only difference between these kids and most other kids their age is that they're transgender.
Beth Luttrell is one of the attorneys representing 7 families trying to block Georgia's gender-affirming care ban, which will go into effect July 1st.
It really is an outrageous intrusion into the family circle that the government has no business being in.
The lawsuit, filed Thursday, names several employees of the Georgia Department of Community Health and the Georgia Composite Medical Board, and alleges SB 140 is, quote, unconstitutional. It later goes on to say that one family of a transgender child is strongly considering moving to another state or leaving the country to ensure they can get access to medical care.
For the state to come in and add another, to target them intentionally and add another challenge, one that could be life-threatening, is really outrageous. It's cruel.
The ban would make gender-affirming surgeries and hormone therapies illegal. Puberty blockers are still allowed, and any child who began treatment before July 1st could continue. Similar laws were brought forth and later banned in Arkansas and Alabama, and Luttrell says she's eager to see a similar result here in Georgia.
Tolerance is not enough. Acceptance is not enough. People should be celebrating LGBTQ people for the unique and beautiful individuals that they are.
This lawsuit was filed together with the Human Rights Campaign and the ACLU. Right now, Luttrell says they're waiting for a hearing.
All right, Karis, thank you so much for bringing us that update. All right, coming up, how hot it is here in Atlanta may depend on what's built around you. We're going to examine what's being described as thermal injustice and show ways temperatures can be lowered in urban areas.
And sticking with our high heat, how you can make sure your kids are staying safe. Next. The Supreme Court delivered its final opinions of the term today with a pair of major cases, both of them with a 6-3 vote along ideological lines. The justices struck down President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness program, which would have allowed eligible borrowers to cancel up to $20,000 of debt, and was estimated to cost more than $400 billion. President Biden speaking this afternoon, expressing his frustration with the ruling.
I believe the court's decision to strike down my student debt relief program was a mistake, was wrong. I'm not going to stop fighting to deliver borrowers what they need, particularly those at the bottom end of the economic scale.
The court also ruled in favor of a web designer who opposes same-sex marriage on religious grounds and had rejected requests to make websites for same-sex couples. We have more details about each of these Supreme Court rulings and how they impact you on our website, 11alive.com. Well, as those temperatures keep climbing outside, you may want to enjoy some of that sun.
It's definitely going to be the perfect time for a cookout or the pool or something. So what are some of those activities that you can do this weekend that you don't want to miss while keeping your child safe? That's important. Our Paula Suro did some digging to find out for you.
Let's check surface temperatures of things around the metro area your kids might touch. Medical research says anything above 110 degrees could burn your feet. And even with it being overcast, temperatures got close to that number. So what can you do this weekend outdoors with your kids and keep them safe? We've got you covered.
Number one, just make sure they have a lot of water. And number two, look for fun in the shade.
Leslie Peterson, owner of 365 Atlanta Traveler, recommends hitting a water park with lifeguards like Margaritaville.
They've got a sale going on until July 9th, so you can get a season pass or you can do a one-time visit.
Or you can go to a pool in the city. Her favorite, Piedmont Park Aquatic Center.
You can get in there for only $5 if you don't want to buy an annual pass.
And if you're looking for a mix of water with hiking, Watson Mill Bridge State Park and Big Trees Forest Preserve may be for you.
Beautiful place to go hiking, again in the shade, but on some of the trails, there's a beautiful little creek that runs through it, and the kids can splish and splash.
Regardless of location, water, light clothing, and sunscreen is key so that you don't dehydrate.
Dizziness, nausea, vomiting, lightheadedness. You should seek medical care. These are all signs in panting or starting to mouth breathe that you are getting too hot.
Dr. Jane Morgan says that to cool down, you can use a wet towel or take a cold shower. She also says it's important you test playgrounds and hot surfaces before your child touches one.
Just use the back of your hand and lie it on the equipment and see if you can determine how hot it is. And remember, wear shoes, certainly those with thicker soles.
In Atlanta, Paula Suro, 11 Alive News.
And then, of course, something else you want to keep in mind is the air quality, especially the young kids and elderly. A lot of times are impacted when we have bad air quality. And today, we had a code orange smog alert in effect, and that did verify for today. Even at one point, we had unhealthy air earlier before that rain came in. Now, you see the orange dot over us here. That's indicating still just the orange or the unhealthy for sensitive groups. Now, things are better in Athens. Gainesville had unhealthy air earlier. Now, it's moderate. We also have moderate conditions there near Rome, and then good conditions up in northwest Georgia and far north Georgia, too. But for tomorrow, another code orange smog alert. So if you're in one of those sensitive groups where your respiratory conditions or you have heart conditions that are enhanced by the buildup of ground level ozone, keep that in mind tomorrow. Look what happened to these temperatures today. We were on target to get into the low end mid 90s. We did hit 90 for a high today. Then the rain came. Look what happened when that rain moved through. Temperatures just plummeted from the around 90 degrees down to 73 in a short period of time. And right now, we're still holding in those low 70s. But the heat is coming back. We have the heat advisory in effect for our area tomorrow. It does not include northeast Georgia, but it does include all of the metro area here and down to the south of us, northwest Georgia in it too. Actual air temperatures right around the mid to upper 90s. The heat index between 102 and 110 degrees. I think here in metro Atlanta, it would be mainly around 105. Those 110 heat index levels would be more down to the south of us. Now, today was our 9th day of temperatures at 90 or above. We usually average around 47 of those a year. And remember, the record was in 2019 when we had 91 days of temperatures at 90 or above. Mild temperatures in the mornings, too. Now, on Thanksgiving, on July 4th morning for the AJC Peachtree Road Race, starting off at about 73, then rising into the 80s during the race. It is going to be a very mild, muggy race. And then afternoons, staying hot. 97 Saturday, 95 on Sunday. The heat index both days right around 100 to 105 degrees. And then temperatures trending down a little bit till the lower 90s Monday, Tuesday, and also on Wednesday. Here's a look at the rain chances. We're going to pretty much just hold on to a 30% chance for a shower each and every day throughout the period. So there you see those temperatures. Very hot. 97 Saturday, 95 Sunday, 30% chance for a shower. High heat index. We do think the heat index values will come down to the upper 90s for the beginning of next week with the temperatures trending down too, but we hold on to a 30% chance for a shower throughout the entire period.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. And as you guys can see, it's going to be a hot one, 4th of July. In this next story, he's been in dozens of AJC Peachtree Road races. This year will be no different. Next, you find out what this former physicist says is his formula for crossing the finish line. We are just days away from this year's AJC Peachtree Road Race, and tonight there is a lot of excitement. The big race now just 4 days away, and this week we've brought you stories about competitors in this year's race, a lot of unique stories, and we have another one for you. One man is on a mission to participate in 50 peach trees, and he's 7 races away.
11 Alive's Ariana Manise introduces us to Paul Simpson, who has the world's largest 10K down to a science using physics as his secret weapon.
We did it! For some, the AJC Peachtree Road Race is just a 10K.
Nice day for going walking and running.
For Paul Simpson, there's a science behind it all.
It's physics, because when you run up the hill, I don't want to be doing this. You wear yourself out.
Simpson, once a health physicist with the CDC, uses his scientific knowledge to his advantage.
Take that stride, and you still be at the top of the hill before these guys can run at full speed, because you bring yourself up and run up the hill going against gravity.
Gravity and the law of motion carried him to the finish line 42 years in a row. This race is his 43rd. His goal is to make it to 50.
If I get to 43, I got 50. Hey, what's the problem? I'm there now.
His journey to 50 started decades ago. You remember this race?
I remember that, and that was, see, I started in 1980, but you can see when I got plenty. I can go with the big boys, see?
It's now a yearly tradition. He trains by running 3 miles a day to prepare his body for the high and low moments of the 6.2-mile run.
Which is usually the first half of the race, you're good. It's the second half, where you have the taller hills and more distances, you had to be prepared. I always have enough energy. I'm gone. It was no big deal.
And when he's not preparing for a run,
I am a collector of objects and things.
He's collected every moment of his years running the Peachtree, like the time he ran with his family.
It was a very exciting day, and it was so exciting that I feel like I didn't even win a race that day.
Keeping every medal and shirt from each race.
See how you see Peachtree standing out underneath there?
And just like the law of physics states, objects in motion will stay in motion.
You know, I don't know when to stop. That's the problem.
Simpson says he too will always stay in motion, moving to the finish line.
Gravity comes in to falling down the hill. I'm floating.
All right, Mr. Simpson, we are rooting for you. Well, coming up, a local legend in Athens offering shade and a place to dream. We're sharing the story of the tree that owns itself and what makes it so special.
We are seeing some drier weather moving in right now, as indicated by our tower cams and radar, where we show those showers and storms that rolled through a little bit earlier. We'll let you know if we'll see more of these storms redeveloping for the weekend and if we'll still have plenty of high heat.
Well, we all know it is hot. That goes without saying as soon as you step outside. And it's going to get even hotter as we move throughout these summer months.
Yeah, but did you know that there's actually some areas that are hotter than other areas across the metro? And tonight, meteorologist Melissa Nord is going to explain why that is and what's being done to fix it.
To understand how heat is impacting parts of Atlanta more than others, we turn to Dr. Marshall Shepard with the University of Georgia. He has been extensively researching this topic for decades.
We know that temperatures are increasing, heat wave intensity and frequency is increasing. We know that there are places that are hotter than other places.
The change in temperature that Dr. Shepard was referring to is something called the urban heat island effect. Let me help you visualize what that means. Throughout our city, we have a lot of different land uses, from smaller neighborhoods and parks to bigger skyscrapers. And how the temperatures respond during the day and night changes based on those land uses. Where we have those smaller neighborhoods, tree-lined streets, those trees help to keep those areas cooler throughout the day and night. But if we step over here to where we're in the concrete jungle with the tall skyscrapers, concrete and asphalt everywhere, those surfaces help to absorb and re-emit heat, keeping those places in the city hotter throughout the day and night. That's what Dr. Shepard's team wanted to investigate further.
They use satellite data to look at which areas of the city are hotter than the others.
What we have found is that certain populations, particularly communities of color, some poorer communities, are disproportionately living in the hottest part of Atlanta's urban heat island.
But there was a trend in those maps that Dr. Shepard noticed a connection to.
Our analysis shows clearly that those hottest areas line up very closely with those grades in the HELOC categories associated with redlined communities. So the grades that are lowest were the areas that were most redlined. And those most redlined areas, guess what? Historically are the hottest since 1940.
Dr. Shepard refers to this as thermal injustice. How can we fix these inequities?
There are some solutions that we know work. Just increasing the amount of vegetation will cool urban heat islands. Changing the reflection of surfaces rather than dark pavements, perhaps lighter pavements reflects more of the sun's energy. Trees provide shading, but we also need to rethink how we engineer cities of the future. We've actually proposed radical new ways to engineer cities for the future to redistribute or repurpose that heat.
In Atlanta, meteorologist Melissa Nord, 11 Alive News.
More really interesting stuff there from Melissa. That's a lot to really think about there with that heating that we have in these big cities. And you can see we are dry right now in Atlanta. We had some of those showers and storms that rolled through a little bit earlier, causing the damage over in West Georgia with mainly trees down. Everything pretty much down to the south now. We should be fine for the rest of the evening hours. Just a low risk for a shower tomorrow, though. A chance for some scattered showers, rain chance at 30%. A lot of us won't get any rain at all, but the ones that do develop have the potential to be strong with a level 2 risk in North Georgia, a level 1 risk really from metro Atlanta down to the south. We'll talk more about that at 6. Take a look at your weather wow moment. This is from Dick Snook in Forsyth County. Beautiful view of some of the smoke that was kind of mixing in. This is from the sunset yesterday. Thanks, Dick, for sending that to us. Dick is one of our 11 Alive community storm trackers. You know, you can be a part of that group too. All you have to do is on Facebook, search 11 Alive Storm Trackers, ask to become a member and answer the membership question, and you can join us.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. Now, we have been monitoring the Supreme Court today, and there are so many more cases that will soon the bench will soon examine. So here's Ron Jones with what's coming up new tonight at 6.
Yeah, that's right, Faith. So the 9 justices will return in October. Among the rulings we can expect include whether the Second Amendment protects gun owners who have domestic violence restraining orders against them.
Gangs are recruiting kids to commit their crimes. And when I say kids, I mean high school, middle school, even elementary school. A new law goes into effect tomorrow that police hope will keep gangs away from your children. Coming up tonight at 6, we look into the law and why police say we need this.
Plus, there will be some special artwork at the AJC Peachtree Road Race for runners to admire. We're going to have the story of a special group that's crafted a masterpiece. That and more when I join Jennifer on the desk at 6.
New tonight, a local legend is offering shade and a place to dream in the classic city of Athens.
And the story of its branches has reached across the country and beyond. And tonight, Caitlin Ross looks at what's behind that famous bark.
This is a place that makes people want to put down roots.
That's just Athens. Athens is the best town in the world.
The pride shines down through the care people take of their property.
It really is.
It's a beauty, isn't it?
Handsome tree.
But there's one tree in Athens that's the talk of the town.
It's just kind of a fun little curiosity.
A growing attraction.
We'll see anywhere from 6 to 10 groups of people just like walking up the street and taking a look at it.
I mean, it's cool to see.
Like this family.
It's a lot bigger than I imagined.
Who came all the way from Iowa.
It's the only tree in the United States that owns itself.
He says the old tree went new age.
I've seen it on TikTok like multiple times.
I never walked by here, and I walk by here almost every day, that I didn't see a crowd.
Peggy Gallus lives just around the corner, but says the lure of this tree's leaves has drawn people in from all over.
I met people from Canada, I met people from all of the United States. It made it so much fun.
In 1890, this tree was front page news. A report in the Athens Banner-Herald last century claimed the property owner went down to the courthouse and filed a deed.
The city has cut a street around it so that the roots won't be hurt. The utilities have been run around it.
You know, we grew up with fairy tales.
Former UGA professor Bill Mann heard about the tree when he first moved to town.
Captures a lot of people's imagination.
He read that old article too, and
it was all made up.
Turns out the tree is a tall tale.
He was the first person to shock me by saying that this was all a myth. For years I had been out telling people the myth.
But the myth of the tree has grown in the hearts of old residents and new in Athens.
We like advertise our place as the house that owns itself, or like the porch that owns itself.
UGA student Dylan Gavron says people can picture it.
The road isn't even cobblestone yet, so it's got to be like pretty old.
He says the lore has framed how people feel about the tree.
Even people in like the city government that you would ask say that the tree owns itself, because that's what it is.
So we asked the mayor to set the record straight.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So the tree owns itself.
In my mind, and I think in the minds of the entire community, the tree owns itself.
Keeping the legend rooted in the community they love.
They think Athens is that kind of town, that a tree would be saved for generations because somebody loved it.
I'm with the mayor. Let's let the story lie.
I love it. The tree owns itself. It's bringing people together. Many of you watching right now probably looking saying, I've been to see that tree, and now I want to go see the tree.
Well, you should. You should take a trip to the Classic City. You'll love it at Athens. There's so much to do and see, and that tree is just one of the many things there. All right, still to come for you on this Friday evening, there is a chance that some of us could find ourselves, unfortunately, needing some roadside assistance over the holiday weekend. Coming up, how you can avoid getting stuck out there on the highway.
Just into the newsroom, we're giving you a live look over Ponce in Midtown. The roadway officially back open just 3 days after a massive sinkhole forced it to close. Crews have been working on repairs ever since that sinkhole opened up on Tuesday. It swallowed up part of an SUV. It was a very large sinkhole. No one was hurt in that incident. Again, the road is now back open just in time for the holiday weekend. And this holiday weekend, AAA is expecting 1.4 million Georgians to hit the road for a trip. Unfortunately, thousands of them are expected to experience car trouble. Nationwide, the agency expects to rescue over 393,000 stranded drivers. The three most common reasons: flat tires, dead batteries, and lockouts. Experts say it's important to get your car inspected before heading to your destination. Bring an extra set of keys. If you find yourself stranded, here's what AAA says to do. Pull over as far to the shoulder as safely as possible. You want to get out of the road and make sure that you can make it to the next stopping point if you can. Turn on your hazard lights, call for assistance on the phone, the AAA website, or the AAA mobile app. Remain with your vehicle if it's safe to do so. If you have to get out, stay alert and avoid turning back into traffic. Now, AAA is a paid service, but remember, in Georgia, you can also dial 511 to get free roadside assistance from GDOT's Hero unit. They can also help you with flat tires. Tomorrow, several new laws go into effect in Georgia, including one focused on the fight against gang violence, how it hopes to protect kids from the lifetime of crime. That story is next, all new at 6.